Kia ora, good evening. A campaign is being launched to try and get government intervention to help New Zealand aluminium smelters, which last week announced plans to speed up restructuring. Deteriorating economic conditions were given as the reason, with 65 jobs to go at the Tiwai smelter before the end of November. The Engineering, Printing and Manufacturing Union is launching a postcard campaign, Save Our Smelter, tomorrow in a bid to stop more cuts. The campaign asks government and in particular Finance Minister Bill English to intervene and broker a deal around power prices between the smelter and supplier Meridian Energy. The union is also calling for action on the exchange rate and its effect on exporters. District Organiser Trevor Hobbs says he hopes to collect at least 10,000 postcards from the public. He says action had to be taken.
And that we don't lose jobs.
There is a lot more than the smelter involved. The flow-on effect of the smelter closing would be absolutely devastating on Invercargill. And like I said, we're not prepared to sit back and do nothing and run the risk of the smelter closing.
What do you think government needs to do?
Two things in particular with the smelter. We think the Minister of Finance and the Minister of State-Owned Energy need to become involved as the shareholders of Meridian Energy to ensure that there is an acceptable arrangement arrived at for the ongoing power price between the smelter and Meridian Energy. But we also think that the government needs to take urgent action to address the exchange rate, because that is not only having a detrimental effect on the smelter at the moment, it's having a detrimental effect on every export industry in the country.
Now, have you been speaking to Bill English or to government about the issue at Tiwai?
Not at this point in time, no.
So why undertake the campaign first?
Because they have openly came out in the news media and said that they have got no intentions of getting involved. There's been statements in the media from Steve Joyce, there's been statements in the media from Eric Roy and John Key, the Prime Minister, and they're all indicating that they don't intend to do anything with regards to the power price.
Now, in terms of impact for Southland, how much do you think the state of the smelter will impact our local economy here?
Hugely. I mean, it's already having an effect. I know local firms that are laying people off because of the downturn in work coming from the smelter. So don't be under any misapprehension. The flow-on effects of negative happenings at the smelter are huge with regards to Invercargill.
A spokesperson for Finance Minister Bill English says the campaign is not surprising as people are naturally anxious about their jobs, but government will not be intervening in commercial negotiations that occur between two companies. She says there is a contract in place and government expects the smelter to continue operating. Meanwhile, New Zealand Aluminium Smelter General Manager Ryan Kavanagh says the smelter appreciates the support it's had from the community and stakeholders. He says the smelter is continuing to lose money and the situation must be turned around quickly for it to be viable in the future. He says discussions with key suppliers and stakeholders are continuing and they're starting to understand the gravity of the situation and are responding to help return the smelter to viability. The New Zealand premiere feature film Two Little Boys is being held in Invercargill tonight. As we go to air, guests will be walking down the red carpet at the Civic Theatre. Hundreds of people are expected at tonight's event, with organisers busy preparing today. The movie was filmed in and around Invercargill in the Catlins and stars Oscar winner Brett McKenzie and Australian comedian Hamish Blake. A wintry blast hitting the region overnight forced some changes, but event organiser Anna Dean says the show must go on.
It has. Well, we're not standing on Tay Street right now, we're around the other side of the Civic. That was just to protect from that kind of blast that goes, you know, that icy wind. Someone told me it's called Arctic Corner there. We actually shot a scene of the movie on that very corner. I know it's very, very cold. We had night shoots there. So we've come around here just to have a bit of protection from the wind.
Was there a backup plan in place for the weather?
Well, of course, obviously in Southland, someone said to me, oh, no one ever organises a wedding outside for a reason. You always have a backup plan. So we've just kind of rocking and rolling with that. We've got the truck. We always were going to have a truck as a stage, just so that, you know, if this did happen. Obviously, unfortunately, we had to lose the local band, the Rhythmonics, but that was because their gear would have gotten wet. So potentially, if it was raining, yeah.
So how many people are we likely to see here at the premiere tonight?
Well, we're at capacity. There's like nearly 1,000 seats in the Civic Theatre, beautiful theatre. So we had to take a few seats out for the projection box, actually, that's been built from scratch inside there. But yeah, we're going to be packed.
And we'll have more from the premiere on tomorrow night's news, including an interview with Kiwi Oscar winner Brett McKenzie and Southern actor Maka Poratu. A polar blast hit the south overnight with snow, wind and rain battering the region. Wind gusts of up to 106 kilometres an hour in Invercargill saw the fire service attend a few minor call-outs. While no snow fell in the city, Police Senior Sergeant Dave Rain says about 6 inches of snow fell in parts of the region, but there were no accidents on the roads. Environment Southland says the rain hasn't significantly impacted river levels, which were low due to a dry winter. The cold blast is expected to be gone by tomorrow. After the break, surprising results in the south 6 months into new giveaway rules. Welcome back. New giveaway rules were introduced in March to bring New Zealand in line with the rest of the world. They were expected to cause confusion and some crashes on the roads. Sarah Bedford took a look at the South's surprising results almost 6 months in.
New giveaway rules have now been in effect for close to 6 months, and despite expectations, there haven't been any problems in the South. Senior Sergeant John Pine, Southland Road Policing Team Leader, says the results are unexpected.
For Southland drivers, we've actually had none, and it's pleasantly surprising. So people down here have really embraced that well.
On March 25th, the giveaway rule changed, meaning drivers now have to give way to all left-turning traffic at uncontrolled intersections, and cars at the bottom of uncontrolled T intersections also have to give way. While drivers were expected to be more cautious initially, it had been anticipated that people would revert back to old habits after 3 months.
Basically, people would slip back into their old ways. People who've been driving for a long time, just getting comfortable, starting to switch off again. So people have embraced it down here very well. I know when I drive my own personal car and out and about in the patrol cars, drivers are still engaging each other, eye contact, just what's happening. There's still a wee bit of uncertainty there, and I think that's healthy. It's good. Try and work out what the other people are doing.
Senior Sergeant Pine says he's had positive feedback about the new rule.
People have commented to me that the new rule is much better. It has relieved congestion on some of the intersections, and that's a good thing.
He says it's hoped the giveaway crash rate won't see any rises in the future.
Hopefully not. We've passed that 3-month period, so fingers crossed it will keep on going. We just want people to stay switched on. Keep looking, find out what other people are doing at the intersection, make eye contact if you can, and be safe, be aware.
Police are monitoring intersections in Invercargill, but it's other issues that are being targeted.
We really want to look at the people who don't stop at stop signs, the red light runners, and those that would go through very late orange lights. We're also looking at seat belts, and we'll stop the odd vehicle for warrant of fitness checks and driver licence checks too, and that's going very well. We've had good feedback from people saying they're pleased to see us on the roads, and we're just hoping to just get back that accident rate at intersections.
Senior Sergeant Pine says he hopes to reach the 1-year anniversary of the new giveaway rule without it having caused any crashes. And for this to happen, people need to concentrate, engage with other drivers, be predictable and indicate. Sarah Bedford, South Today News.
The Reserve Bank should leave the official cash rate where it sits at 2.5%, according to a panel of economists, academics and business leaders. The NZIER Shadow Board is recommending the OCR be kept on hold ahead of the Reserve Bank's statement to be made on Thursday. NZIER Head of Public Good Research, Dr. Curtin Lees, says global risks continue to materialise, hitting Asian exports and weakening outlook for Australia, while domestically recovery is muted and inflation contained. He says the board is highly supportive of leaving interest rates at 2.5%, but if there was to be a move, a cut would be more appropriate than a rise. House prices in Southland are down slightly on a year ago, according to new figures from Real Estate Institute of New Zealand. Those figures show the median price across the region dropped by 1% to $196,000 in August compared with the same time last year. However, the median price in Southland rose 5.9% from July. Nationally, the median sale price in August was $370,000, up 2.5% from 2011. While the median house price in Invercargill dropped 4.3% to $198,000. Southlanders who have been lost to suicide were remembered in Invercargill last night. To mark World Suicide Prevention Day, people braved the elements to attend a candlelight vigil at Wagner Place. The ceremony included performances by local musicians, a haka, speeches and releasing of balloons to remember Southlanders who took their own lives. In the year ending June, 42 people committed suicide in the southern region. Organised by Bereavement After Suicide Southland, founder Sarah Ritchie says she started the organisation after her cousin committed suicide last year because she felt there wasn't enough support available for him.
He had been to see his GP 3 days before to get help, but that also needs to be addressed. You know, they are saying that when somebody talks to suicide, take them seriously.
Have you found any patterns in the age of people coming to see you?
No, it's been a wide range of ages. It's been a wide range of family, friends, huge. It has been a huge amount, and there's been no one particular age.
What do you think being more open about suicide in Southland will achieve?
Well, I'm hoping to achieve it stops. It drops the rate, especially our youth rate. Our youth rate is extremely high, and that's really sad, you know. Our youth have a future. There's light after darkness, and I'm hoping if it saves one person's life, you know, it's one that we haven't lost to through the cracks.
Coming up in sport, we catch up with New Zealand's #1 amateur golfer, Southlander Vaughan McCall. From the news team, good night.